Something that I never seem to talk about is the Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. Kirigakure, despite being one of the 5 great villages, always seems to escape my notice in most stories, despite how plot relevant they are. In fact, the very first group of Shinobi Naruto and the others must face are from Kirigakure, those being the Demon Brothers, Zabuza, and Haku. And one of those 4 was actually a member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. So that being said, I had an interesting idea. Why not focus on that? What if Naruto were born in Kirigakure and became one of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist? Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Naruto was born in another place at another time. For what reason was he born here in Kirigakure? Well, that's a good question. Chances are his mother was brought here. Whether it be because of some trauma, or perhaps it was that something in Konoha ruffled her feathers. Naruto knew little of his mother, and even less of who his real father was. All he suspected was that his mother had something against Konoha. Likely that, due to her becoming a Jinchuriki, there was a high chance that her son, or even her grandchildren, would also be forced to become Jinchuriki. After all, that was the fate of an Uzumaki whose ability to seal was beyond anything anyone else could do. Uzumaki were primed to be perfect Jinchuriki, which meant that it was highly likely that Naruto could be forced to become one at some point in his life. That was likely what caused Kushina to escape Konoha to Kiri. Naruto hoped that this wasn't true. He hoped it was something else, because if she left Konoha to avoid Naruto becoming a Jinchuriki like her, then she failed in her mission. All those years later, when Naruto was born in Kiri, Kushina suffered complications. She was dying and everyone knew it, but Kiri was not going to let a tailed beast as powerful as the Nine Tails escape their grasp. She probably struggled. She probably resisted. Whatever happened, she was dead now, and Naruto was a Jinchuriki. So if she ran from Konoha, if she ran from Naruto's father for this, it was all a moot point. There was a subtle pain Naruto carried with him, and it was split into 2 options. Naruto could hardly tell which was worse. The idea that maybe his mother left because his father was dead, or maybe that she left and his father was alive. The idea of being orphaned in a strange village with the concept that he might still have a living parent out there was painful. Perhaps more painful than being all alone. The concept of being all alone even if you didn't have to. To some degree, Naruto likely resented Kushina for that. He knew her deeds were done for his protection, but it was a grave miscalculation to think that either of them could escape their fate. It was always Kushina's fate to die, and it was always Naruto's fate to take her place. Where they did it was up to her, but she had chosen to do it away from Naruto's father, something that brought Naruto great pain. But pain was a good teacher, and a great motivator too. Naruto, being in the special position he was, meant that he had options. As a Jinchuriki, he was a useful tool for Kiri, which meant that he could become the best of the best, the strongest shinobi to ever walk out of the academy. And despite not being born in Kiri, this also meant he never needed to partake in the old academy ritual of killing your classmates. Naruto actually heard that they did away with that rule. Whatever it was, Naruto didn't have to partake. Instead, he trained his best, honing not only his skills but also his kenjutsu like everyone else did. Just like his closest classmates, Suigetsu and Mangetsu Hozuki, he craved to be next in line for the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist. So he trained and he trained and trained some more. He did his work as a shinobi, and he did it as efficiently as possible, doing everything in his power to prove that he was worthy. He would later eventually move into the Anbu at quite a young age, around the age of 16. He continued to work faithfully as a hunter nin for quite some time, displaying enough prowess in his kenjutsu, ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, and usage of his tailed beast to gain notoriety. This notoriety would bring him to the attention of the Mizukage himself. Naruto would be called before the Mizukage one day for reasons left unspecified. You see, Yagura was a terrible man who suffered no fools and cared very little for any who would dare fail him. If you failed Yagura, there was the distinct possibility that you would be killed on the spot, with or without hesitation. It was no secret that of all villages, Kirigakure was the village that possessed the most missing nin. This was due to the cruel nature with which Yagura and his administration ruled the village. The only good thing Yagura ever did was end the academy ritual, or at least Naruto believed he had, due to the demon Zabuza, who not only killed one of his classmates, but all of his classmates. This feat of ruthlessness was so evil that even Yagura abhorred it, but the reason why was not because he cared for life any more than Zabuza had, but instead because he knew the village couldn't survive if every generation produced only a single shinobi. To that end, he ended the ritual to make sure that nothing like that ever happened again. Or at least, that was the rumor. Whether Yagura had ended the ritual or not was not something Naruto cared to look into, but whether he had or hadn't didn't change what Yagura was, or the way the village was. If it wasn't enough to tell you who he was by telling you these things, it should be more than enough to remind you that Zabuza was a rogue shinobi now due to his hatred of Yagura. The demon who killed all of his classmates in cold blood still viewed Yagura as worse than he, and fled the village because of it. For this reason, every time Naruto was called by Yagura, there was a subtle fear in his heart. What if I'm somehow perceived to have failed Yagura, and he wants to kill me? These thoughts were what haunted Naruto now. He hoped and prayed that it were not so. As Naruto stood there by the door, he looked down at his Hunter Nin mask. It was simple, featureless, with 2 slits for eyes. Upon joining, he was allowed to edit the mask just slightly to give it a bit of personality, so that when his mask was seen, he'd be recognized by his comrades. The markings he had put on it were simple. 3 black lines on the cheeks of the mask matching the ones on Naruto's face, followed by an inverted red triangle coming down from the top of the mask, across the forehead, reaching its point at the area just above the mask's brow. He cleared his mind with a deep breath. I've served faithfully and efficiently. There's no way I've failed. And even if I did in some slight fashion, surely he'd forgive any small mistake given my track record. He was cleared to enter the Mizukage's office. He opened the door and stepped in to see a baby-faced man sitting at the desk. Despite being in his mid to late 30s, possibly even his early 40s, the man looked as though he couldn't have been much older than Naruto. His unassuming appearance was more off-putting than the stitched scar running down his cheek. Naruto knelt as soon as he entered the room in respect, as per the protocol of any shinobi called before his commander. Lord Mizukage, you summoned me? Yes, I did, Yagura said. He stood from his seat. Naruto felt a bead of sweat run down the side of his neck. He calmed his face as to stop any negative expression. Yagura stood before his desk. I've been reading your file. Your service record is impeccable, but your work as a hunter nin with the Ansatsu Senjutsu Tokushibutai stands above the rest. You should consider yourself proud for the work you do for your nation, Yagura said. Naruto lowered his head further as a smile crept across his face. He wasn't in trouble. Thank you, Lord Yagura. Yagura offered a smile. It's because of this, and your skills as a shinobi in general, that I would like to make a proposition. Naruto cautiously raised his head to look at Yagura. And what proposition is that, sir? As you know, many a rogue shinobi originate from our village, and it tends to be that, among our 7 ninja swordsmen, it is a common trope. We put together a team, and then they run away from the village, taking our precious blades with them. But despite this, I wish to once more assemble a team, one that is faithful to our village, and I want you to be among its head leaders. Naruto was astonished by this, feeling as though the great honor could not actually be his, despite it always being his dream. Thank you, Lord Yagura, Naruto said. Don't thank me yet, Yagura said as he moved back behind his desk, motioning Naruto to follow him. Naruto stood and walked over. There he looked down upon a file that had been sent there by the Mizukage. It said 3 names, each possessing an image. Zabuza Momochi, Raiga Kurosuke, Kisame Hoshigaki. These 3 are former members of the previous generation of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen. They're rogue shinobi who took their blades with them, and are the last surviving members of the group. Before we can reform the 7 Ninja Swordsmen, we must destroy these traitors and take their weapons back. Once we've done so, we are free to reform the 7 Ninja Swordsmen by inviting 4 new skilled shinobi. Wait, 4? Naruto asked. That would mean you've already chosen 3 shinobi to be swordsmen. Indeed, Yagura said. You are very sharp, Naruto. You are one of them, and your 2 allies will be these. He buzzed in Naruto's allies. Naruto turned back and saw Mangetsu and Suigetsu enter the room. Naruto's eyes lit up as he ran to embrace them. Suigetsu! Mangetsu! He shouted as he pulled away. We finally made it, Naruto! Suigetsu shouted with excitement. Yagura cleared his throat, bringing all 3 back to attention. Do not underestimate these 3, he said. Kisame is the carrier of the blade Samehara, and is known as the tailless-tailed beast due to his incredible chakra reserves. He will be the first target for you, due to our recent retrieval of secret information on his whereabouts. You 3 are free to head to the armory. We have 4 of the 7 treasured swords. You may pick one from the group. Yagura walked to them, handing over the file. Be careful, and do not fail me. Failure to retrieve the swords listed will result in the loss of your heads. This final statement sent a shiver down their spines. But with that said, they turned around and left. The pressure was on, but even the fear of death and failure couldn't dampen their mood. I mean, it's not like we don't plan to succeed, or at least die trying, so I don't think we have anything to worry about, Suigetsu said. As they entered the armory, the 4 blades were laid out on the table. From the left to right were 4 blades to choose from. The first was Noibari, the needle blade. Second was Kabutawari, the helm splitter, a large axe with a hammer attached. After this was the 3rd blade, Hiramekare, the twin sword of a similar size and shape to a massive Bansho fan. Then, last but not least, was Shibuki, a blade that possessed within it explosive tags. Mangetsu was quick to choose Hiramekare as his own weapon, and considering his love for heavy splitting weapons, Suigetsu chose Kabutawari. It was then up to Naruto to choose between Noibari and Shibuki. A hard choice to make, as Naruto would either need to choose between the needle blade, which would be good for restraining opponents, both quick and agile. The first one we're going after is Kisame, correct? Naruto said. Mangetsu affirmed this. Then we might need to work synergistically on this. Considering his immense strength as the tailless tailed beast, it would require the power of a tailed beast to hold him down. If I can manage to hold him, you two could strike him. That being said, I feel like my best chance is Noibari, as this one would be perfect to trap him with. Don't forget that he's the carrier of Samehada, Suigetsu said. This means he has the ability to absorb chakra with each strike. If he strikes you with his blade, you could lose chakra, which means the strength of your bind on him will weaken. That's true, Naruto said. But considering that my chakra reserves are very deep, I feel like I've got the best chance of restraining him for enough time. And so, Naruto chose Noibari. After this, they left Kirigakure. They would not return until they had gathered the 3 remaining blades, Samehada, Kubikiribocho, and Kiba. As they looked over the file, it told them that most of these shinobi seemed to be hiding in the Land of Fire, or at least were last spotted there. Mangetsu spoke. Kisame seems to be part of a new group of elite rogue shinobi known as the Akatsuki. Currently, he's without a partner and vulnerable. The last place he was spotted was near Tanazuka headquarters. It seemed he went out to retrieve a bounty there. Do you think he's still there? Suigetsu asked. As far as I've heard, he's yet to deliver the body and claim the bounty. Considering the drop-off point is by an abandoned temple near the place, I'd say he should be. In fact, if we go to that temple, we might catch him off guard. I like that idea, Naruto said. We know where he's gonna be, but he doesn't even know we're after him. That gives us the element of surprise, which is a definite edge. And so they made their way to the temple outside of Tanazuka headquarters. Upon entering the temple, he noticed that it had been left to rot, covered in moss and reclaimed by the forest. It was hard to find due to this, as even from a higher vantage point, the trees growing around and through it concealed it. Entering the ruined temple, they found a group of weapon-bearing criminals that had taken up position there, likely the ones who had planned to pay Kisame for his work. Naruto, Mangetsu, and Suigetsu swept them up quickly and hid the bodies. This was good for them though, as it meant that nobody had claimed the prize yet, which meant that Kisame was likely still on his way. And so the 3 of them found a good place to hide high up in the trees. There they would wait for quite some time, until finally he arrived, the man whose features appeared like that of a shark. As he draws near to the temple carrying the body, the 3 of them don their hunter nin masks and ready their weapons. Kisame draws closer to the facility, but stops. Have we been made? Suigetsu asks. Suddenly, Kisame drops the body and darts into the trees, escaping in the opposite direction. We've been made. Engage, Mangetsu says. The 3 of them rush off after Kisame, jumping from limb to limb. Despite his large chakra reserves, Kisame's body is far larger than the 3 chasing him. This means that he's heavier, which slows him down a bit. Naruto and the others, however, are leaner and far quicker due to their slim builds and more youthful bodies. Kisame was well into his early 30s by this point, and he had reached the edge of his prime. All of these factors together meant that Naruto and the others could catch up quite easily. Kisame pulled his blade from his back and removed the bandages covering it in preparation for the battle that he knew he would not be able to escape. Naruto took his blade, Noibari, and threw it like a spear at Kisame, piercing his shoulder. This stopped Kisame in his tracks. Kisame smiled. Very brave of you to think you can take my head, he said. He then looked at the weapons they were all carrying. I see. The new ninja swordsmen of the mist. You've come to claim my blade. We're not leaving without it, Naruto said. Then you'll have to peel it from my cold, dead hands. Kisame rushed at Naruto to strike, but Naruto caught it with Noibari. Suigetsu came in from Kisame's right, swinging his helm splitter down, while Mangetsu came in from the left, swinging his blade horizontally from left to right, hoping to bisect Kisame at the waist. Kisame barely dodged this by jumping horizontally backwards. From his position, he now had Naruto and the others standing before him. He weaved hand signs. "Water prison! Shark dance jutsu!" he shouted as he released a massive pool of water. This pool of water surrounded them all over a great distance. This was no issue for Suigetsu and Mangetsu though, due to their hydrification technique, which would allow them to turn to water themselves. As for Naruto, who had no ability to do so, he was left to drown. However, Suigetsu noticed this and rushed to Naruto, where he used his own liquid body to form a bubble around Naruto's head. Mangetsu was gone, it seemed. Where he was remained a question, and it did bother Kisame, but he knew the moment he let go of the technique, Mangetsu would be toast. He fused with Samehada in an attempt to gain more agility in the water. He would rush at Naruto, who is now wielding both Nuibari and Kabatowari. Due to Kabatowari being two weapons, Naruto only had the ability to wield one part of it alongside Nuibari, but this didn't mean he couldn't still make use of both weapons in a proficient fashion. He swung Kabatowari around, allowing the hammer to swing freely like a nunchaku. He smashed Kisame in the face, drawing blood and staggering him. Naruto then threw Nuibari through Kisame's chest before wrapping him up in the wire. This would not be the one that got away. Despite this, Kisame began to swim, dragging Naruto with him. Suigetsu told him that he might be able to get under his feet and stop him from moving, but that would leave Naruto without air. "I'm about to run out of air anyway, so just do it," Naruto said. He took a deep breath as Suigetsu moved to his feet to offer some support in the water. Using his version 1 cloak, Naruto began to pull Kisame back. Kisame, with his fusion with Samehada, began to absorb Naruto's chakra. Slowly, Naruto was becoming weaker, and Kisame stronger. He couldn't hold him on the line for much longer, but out of nowhere, Mangetsu appeared with his blade and struck Kisame. Kisame let out a cry as blood filled the water. The bubble burst, and they all hit the forest floor. Mangetsu ran to Naruto and Suigetsu. "Are you two okay?" "What took you so long?" Naruto asked. "I needed to wait for the perfect moment. A swordsman is not judged by how many strikes he makes, but by the placement and timing of them." Suigetsu looked over and saw Kisame laying there. He waved them over. Naruto drew closer to Kisame. Kisame was laying there, paralyzed from the waist down, bleeding out slowly. Naruto reached down and reclaimed Samehada. He then honored the warrior by giving him a quick death. Kisame let out a chuckle. "Maybe there's hope for the future, after all." He died. As they prepared to seal up Samehada into the scroll, Naruto couldn't help but notice that Samehada had grown fond of him, likely from tasting the chakra of a tailed beast. So Naruto opted to seal up Nuibari instead, taking Samehada for his own. Next up on their list was Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist. This man had at one time been the personal hero of Suigetsu and Mangetsu, to which they took inspiration from, hoping to surpass. However, it was a bittersweet thing for them to search him out to kill him. The file told them that Zabuza would be found in the Land of Waves. Upon getting there, they began to ask about him, coming to realize that he was currently working for a gangster and criminal as his muscle. They would search out members of his gang and interrogate them. They discovered the location of Zabuza, finding out that he had taken up residence in a nearby warehouse where Gato and his men were. As they made their way to the warehouse, they simply walked right in. There were guards and the like to stop them, but the disposal of said guards was quick and effortless. They stepped forward to where Gato was enthroned upon his golden seat bought with blood money. Zabuza and Haku were nearby, looking on. It was Zabuza who first noticed the weapons they were carrying, though Haku recognized their masks as he too was wearing one. "What's this? Haku's got brothers or something?" Gato asked with a chuckle. "These are no friends of mine," he said. Zabuza looked them over. "I don't suppose you're here to join us, are you?" he said in such a way as though it wasn't even a question. Mangetsu shook his head. "We desire that blade of yours. We can't leave here without it. Lord Yagura has asked for it back. There's also a sizable bounty on your head for your part in the revolution." Suddenly, from behind, the demon brothers rose from a puddle of water. "Looks like you're outnumbered and outmatched," Zabuza said as he pulled his blade. "I'm highly tempted to leave one of you alive to tell Yagura to screw off. It would do us no good. If we were to return without the blade, we'll be executed." "Sounds like your problem to me," Zabuza said. He looked back at Gato. "We'll deal with this ourselves." Gato raised his hand to give permission. Haku and Zabuza stepped forward to face them as the demon brothers approached from behind. Suigetsu looked back at the demon brothers and noted their gauntlets connected by a chain. "I'll take Zabuza," Naruto said. "Are you sure about that?" Mangetsu asked. "I'm quite sure. If I haven't beaten him by the time you're finished with the masked one, you can join in." Mangetsu nodded. Naruto was the first to strike, unwrapping his blade. Zabuza, holding the executioner's blade high, brought it down to strike Naruto, only for Naruto to catch it with Samehada. Suigetsu would rush at the demon brothers and strike out at them with his hammer and axe, only for the two to dodge. As they attempted to jump over him, he threw the hammer up, wrapping its chain around the chain holding their gauntlets together. With a mighty pull, he threw the two down to the ground. Suigetsu saw this and immediately knew that it was what Gato was peddling. It disgusted him. Mangetsu, using his hydrification technique, attempted to get close to Haku. This allowed him to tank any and all senbon coming in, but Haku was ready for this. Weaving hand signs, he blew out a stream of hypercooled air, causing Mangetsu to freeze. Mangetsu attempted to keep coming though. That was until one of his steps caused his right foot to break free. He stopped for only a moment to look at it before he continued to walk. His hand, now stuck to the ground by the frost, snapped off as he tries to raise it up. He looked at the stub with surprise for a moment before completely freezing over. Haku pulled out a senbon and raised it to his face to examine it for a moment before looking at Mangetsu for a moment. Hasta la vista. He threw his senbon through the frozen Mangetsu, causing him to shatter to a million pieces. Mangetsu! Suigetsu shouted as he finished, cutting down the two demon brothers. As their corpses fell to the ground, Suigetsu began to approach Haku. Naruto saw what happened to Mangetsu and tried to break free from Zabuza, but didn't have enough time. As Naruto's blade clashed with Zabuza's again, he scoffed. Who is he? Your little boyfriend or something? You'll never understand the bond Haku and I share, Zabuza said as he kicked Naruto back. I found him when he was just a child, weak and alone. And so you turned him into a weapon? Naruto asked. I turned him into family, he said. That caught Naruto off guard. What? The demon of the bloody mist adopted a kid? What kind of trickery is this? Zabuza was known to be a bloodthirsty and cruel person. All the stories Naruto had read about him made him sound like a loner who cared about nobody or anything save the thrill of the kill. And yet he had adopted someone. There had to be a trick to it. Naruto kept catching strikes until eventually he managed to parry the heavy executioner's blade to the ground. A short spin and raise of the blade above his head gave Naruto all the momentum in the world required to bring the blade down and snap the executioner's blade in two. Zabuza, startled by this, had no time to grab his tanto as Naruto's next strike came in, slashing him across the stomach, the many blades attached to Samehada's outer shell doing their job a bit too well. As Zabuza fell to his knees, Naruto picked up the broken executioner's blade and used it to finish Zabuza off, allowing his blood to reform the blade to what it had been before the battle. Haku saw this and attempted to break free from Suigetsu to take vengeance on Naruto, but he couldn't, so he decided to funnel that rage into Suigetsu. Getting the better of Suigetsu, he put Suigetsu on the ground. Haku raised his senbon to kill him, but before he could, Mangetsu finished thawing and reformed. He snuck up behind Haku and cut him down. Mangetsu offered his hand to Suigetsu. Suigetsu took it and hugged Mangetsu. I thought you were dead, he said. It'll take more than a little ice to put me out to pasture. They then drew closer as Suigetsu admired the blade that he had so long dreamt of holding. He claimed it for himself before lamenting the body of Zabuza. Naruto stood there over the body and looked down at it. It seems the demon had an angel side too. He adopted that boy over there. As I faced him, I could tell he truly cared for him. As the three contemplated these things, Gato approached them. Impressive! I would have never guessed in a million years that a shinobi existed stronger than Zabuza Momochi. At least one that wasn't a Kage. But despite the odds being 4-3, you still managed to come out on top. As such, I will pay you three what I paid them if you work for me. Suigetsu looked over at Gato and remembered the drugs he had seen. Without a single word, he used the executioner's blade to decapitate Gato. This caused a scuffle with the remaining guards, but considering what they had just faced, the guards were nothing. They walked out of the warehouse, leaving none still alive. Though it hadn't been their intention, they had managed to free the land of waves from the tyranny of Gato, something that would bring prosperity for the people there. As they left, there was a somber feeling in the air. In some ways, they were glad to have stacked up to the one they'd idolized since their earlier days in the academy. However, there was a subtle sadness to know they had just killed their hero. All the same, they pressed on. For some time, they wandered in the land of fire. Their file had failed them. Raiga was not where he had been claimed to be, and despite how much they searched, they could find no leads for his location. Raiga had gone completely and utterly dark. What are we supposed to do now? Suigetsu asked. We can't go back without Kiba. We need those swords from Raiga. It was at about then that a pigeon flew down from the air. Mangetsu caught it. Holding it gently in his hand, he gave a gentle stroke with his finger before taking the message tied to its foot. He let the pigeon go. It's a message from Lord Yagura. It says that they have new intel on Raiga. Naruto and Suigetsu stood from their seats and walked over to look. Mangetsu began to read it. Our spies have discovered that Raiga is currently hiding out as a refugee in Konohagakure. He's struck a deal with the government there. In exchange for protection, he'll offer them our secrets, eliminate him at all costs, and retrieve the blade's Kiba. Suigetsu, Mangetsu, and Naruto all looked at each other with surprise. We're going to have to infiltrate a rival village? Suigetsu asked. Mongetsu nodded. It says that Raiga is currently living on the main road, out from the Hokage's office. We have the address. What's the plan? Naruto asked. We strike at nightfall. They hopped the wall to Konohagakure at about sunset and began to quietly make their way to the village proper by cover of woods. As they got into the main area of the village, they took to the rooftops. By this time, the sun had long since retreated below the horizon, and the moon had taken its place in the violet sky that was now dotted with stars. The moon was full. It was the perfect night for a kill. As they waited for the village to fall asleep, they knew that so very few people would be awake to guard the village. This was the perfect time to strike. Finding the home, they jumped to the ground and looked around, seeing nobody. Getting to the window, they raised it to find that it had been foolishly left unlocked. They entered the house and saw a man sitting in a chair near a fireplace. Above the fireplace, above the mantle, were the blades Kiba, sitting decoratively as if they were part of some ancient crest of a prestigious family. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth. As they drew closer silently, the man stopped reading and spoke. I assume you're here to kill me too, he asked. You knew we were coming, Naruto said. Raiga stood. He walked to the mantle of his fireplace and took up his blades. I did. As soon as I heard Kisame had perished, I knew something was up. And the moment Zabuza bit the big one, I knew it was planned. I cannot allow you to take me out. You don't have much of a choice, Mongetsu said. You'd be surprised. Suddenly, Anbu entered the house through the windows. You see, I'm under a form of witness protection. Did you really think the Hokage would let me so easily be killed? I'm useful to him and his village. In exchange for my cooperation. You were given amnesty and a chance to join their ranks, Suigetsu asked. No, we were given a future. At Raiga's words, the Anbu began to attack. Naruto and Suigetsu carved a path forward for Mongetsu and proceeded to cover for him by stopping the Anbu from following. Mongetsu rushed out of the house into the backyard with his blade Hiramekare unwrapped and split in two. The chakra within the blade began to glow as the two halves began to clash against the blade's Kiba. Raiga, funneling lightning release into them, found his speed and strength rising in intensity. Cracks of thunder could be heard along with flashes of light as the sharpest blades in the world clashed with the most versatile. As Naruto and Suigetsu managed to finish off the Anbu inside the house, they rushed outside to face the ones converging on Mongetsu. Mongetsu continued the attack. However, Raiga had more experience, and with the ease of maneuvering his own blades, he began to press Mongetsu back. Mongetsu knew that he was on the run now. As he fought to push Raiga off, he made one misstep that gave Raiga all the advantage he needed. Slapping both halves of Hiramekame to the side, he quickly pulled his blades up, severing Mongetsu in two vertically. As blood poured from the severed halves of Mongetsu, the two halves fell in opposite directions, much to the horror of Suigetsu. Naruto, finished with his half of the Anbu, engaged Raiga next. Enraged, he began to fuel himself with the version 1 cloak of the Nine Tails. His blade, through his increased chakra flow, increased in speed enough to counter Raiga's attacks. Raiga spoke. Don't be foolish. You crave to be a swordsman of the mist, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. Traitor! Naruto shouted as his attacks intensified. Naruto then thought he noticed tears in Raiga's eyes. Naruto managed to disarm Raiga and wound him, kicking him back. Raiga fell to his knees. As Naruto stood there, pointing the gaping maw of his blade at his adversary, Raiga spoke. Killing. It's all we've ever done. It's all the swordsman will ever do. He looked up at Naruto. It's all you've ever done to get to this point. But tell me, have you ever actually wondered what else is out there? What else life could actually be? Have you never questioned the meaning of your life? What it is you desire most? Naruto stood there, listening to his words. He thought about these things. It was then that a small boy ran out of the house. Daddy, he shouted. He knelt down to his father. Raiga spoke. Ranmaru, run away. No, I won't leave you to die, he said. He then picked up one of the blades and pointed it at Naruto. Ranmaru, what are you doing? Naruto looked down into the eyes of the boy, seeing nothing but tears and determination. Raiga had started a family. Whether this boy was biological or adopted was unknown, but Raiga had found something more important than killing. Something important enough to die for. He had found a family. Being here in Konoha had left Naruto feeling strange already, but memories of things he learned about his mother began to boil up. The idea that he might also have family in this village. He lowered his blade, unwilling to kill the boy or the father. Do you know anyone called Uzumaki here? He asked. At about that time, Suigetsu jumped down, landing on Raiga, stabbing his blade through the man's back, killing him. Ranmaru turned around to see Suigetsu and attempted to attack, only to be parried and killed as well. Naruto's eyes widened in horror. Suigetsu! Suigetsu looked up, his eyes full of tears. Did you forget what we came here to do, he asked. Besides, he killed my brother. This is the least he can do to pay me back. Suigetsu took both blades Kiba and put them into the same scroll as the others. He then walked over to his brother, hardly able to look at it, and sealed it up too. After all, they couldn't leave the body behind. They then began to retreat to the forests. It was at about this time they were ambushed by another shinobi. But this one was different from the rest. He wore a white haori. He spoke. Are those swords really so powerful as to threaten war over? You're willing to go to war just to get back 2 old razors. Naruto looked up at the man, the 4th Hokage. His eyes widened, as did Suigetsu's. Naruto, that man, he looks just like you. Minato Namikaze looked down on them. Certainly you can speak, so tell me, what did you think would happen now that you've assassinated someone within our village's sovereign borders? Naruto stepped forward. Do you know of a woman named Kushina Uzumaki? Minato's eyes showed a hint of surprise before turning to confused anger and skepticism. How did you hear that name? Naruto raised his hand to his mask. Suigetsu tried to stop him, telling him not to, but Naruto removed the mask anyway, shocking Minato. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Kushina Uzumaki is my mother. Minato dropped down from the trees, his face displaying disbelief as tears formed in his eyes. Naruto. Naruto stepped forward. Are you my father? Minato nodded. Where have you been? I was in Kiri. My mother gave birth to me there. Where is your mother? Minato asked. Naruto looked away for a moment before displaying some of the Ninetales' chakra. She passed away the day of my birth. Minato looked away. I'm so sorry, Naruto. I had no idea. If I had, I would have sent for you. Naruto stood there, hardly able to contain himself. Suigetsu turned to go. Come on, Naruto, we have to go. Naruto looked at Suigetsu before stopping and looking at Minato. It was then that Naruto understood. He understood what had happened to Zabuza and to Raiga. After so many years of fighting, their conscience had grown weary. Their loves had grown dark. They sought to do something better. Suigetsu, Naruto said, trailing off. No, Naruto, don't you think about it. You've trained so hard to reach this point. All you need to do is get back to Kiri with me, and you'll become the next head of the Seven Ninja Swordsmen. It's all you ever wanted. Naruto thought about it. Suigetsu, I've done nothing all my life except kill. Now I think I want something more than the same track I've been walking. He looked back at Minato. Promise me something. If I stay, Suigetsu gets to leave without any harm. Minato thought about it for a moment. If any harm comes to him, I'll leave, Naruto said. Minato looked to Naruto with a smile. I promise. Naruto looked to Suigetsu. Just go. I'll be fine. What do I tell Yagura? Suigetsu asked. He's gonna wonder where you are. Naruto offered a smile. Tell him I'm captured. Raiga wounded me and you couldn't get to me in time and trusted that I'd kill myself to avoid interrogation. That takes a burden off of you. It's my failure then. Suigetsu looked down. I was really looking forward to doing this with you, Naruto, he said. Are you sure you need to stay? Naruto nodded. I've often thought about the possibility of having a family. I can't pass this up. Suigetsu looked down. He walked over and hugged Naruto. If this is the path you wish to take and you feel like it'll make you happy, I respect it. I hope you do well. But just in case Yagura sends me back to kill you one day, just know it was an honor to be your friend. Naruto returned the hug. The honor was mine. As the two went their separate ways, Minato spoke to Naruto. Tell me everything there is to know about you. We need to catch up quickly. With the mission completed, Suigetsu returned to Kirigakure to inform Yagura of everything that happened. He told Yagura that he lost Mangetsu and that Naruto was captured, but he believed that he had ended his own life to keep from being interrogated. He then presented the Mizukage with the ancient blades. Yagura commended Suigetsu on his actions and made him the new leader of the Seven Ninja Swordsmen. Despite achieving his dream, however, Suigetsu felt it was empty, believing that it wasn't worth the things he lost. Without Mangetsu or Naruto there, the achievement of his dreams felt shallow and unfulfilling. Naruto, on the other hand, began to spend more time with Minato, getting to understand what it felt like to have a family. And though he had missed out on his own dream, he had found something far better, someone who truly cared about him. And that's where this video is going to end. I hope you enjoyed it. I very rarely do much of anything with the Seven Ninja Swordsmen of the Mist, and I thought it would be a good idea to let Naruto run the whole character arc. You see, it's a common trait among the ninja swordsmen that they can't stay a member of their own village to save their lives. Whether it's because they lose faith in their leaders or in their way of life in general, the ninja swordsmen have a habit of leaving their village to find fulfillment elsewhere, usually in starting something akin to a family in the cases of Raiga and Zabuza. I felt as though Naruto could not truly call himself a ninja swordsman without betraying his own village. But anyway, what did you think about it? Did you like it? What would you have done differently? Let us know in the comments below, and if you haven't liked or subscribed yet, be sure to do so. It helps us out a lot. Don't forget to ring the bell. We're always releasing new videos, and I'm sure you don't want to miss them. And if you just can't wait for the next release, try one of these videos here. It should help tide you over until the next one. Anyway, until next time, my friends, peace out.